realizing something is terribly wrong. Everything is darker, colder. What if the sun simply vanished for 24 hours? How would life on Earth cope with this sudden loss of light and warmth? Let's explore what might happen if the sun disappeared for a full day. To start, let's address the first few moments after the sun disappears. Would we notice right away? Not at first. Light from the sun takes around 8 minutes to reach Earth, so for 8 minutes, everything would seem normal. But once those 8 minutes are up, Earth would be plunged into total darkness. Now think about that. No sunrise, no daylight. It's not just a long night. It's a world without the sun's energy, without the warmth we rely on to live. The world would be bathed only in the faint light of the stars and the moon, but that's not nearly enough to sustain life. And this brings us to the first critical consequence: temperature. Without the sun's constant heat, Earth would quickly start to cool. In the first few hours, temperatures would drop noticeably, by about 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. For places near the equator, this might feel like a sudden winter storm. But in colder regions, the situation would be far more severe. Imagine polar regions experiencing an instant plunge into extreme cold, temperatures dropping to dangerous levels. People living in these areas might experience frostbite and hypothermia within hours. Now let's think about the psychological impact of this darkness. We humans are deeply connected to the sun, both physically and mentally. Think about how people react to shorter winter days, feeling tired, sluggish, or even depressed. Now imagine that on a global scale, for 24 hours straight. The sudden, eerie darkness would create widespread panic. People would wonder, has the sun disappeared forever? Emergency services would be overwhelmed, and governments would struggle to manage the fear and uncertainty. What about plants? Without sunlight, photosynthesis would stop immediately. Plants depend on the sun to convert light into energy. A full 24 hours without this process wouldn't kill plants outright, but it would certainly stress them. More sensitive crops or plant species could suffer damage. And because plants form the base of the food chain, any disruption in their ability to produce energy would have a ripple effect throughout ecosystems. Animals would also be thrown off. Many species rely on sunlight to regulate their circadian rhythms, those internal clocks that tell them when to sleep, wake, and hunt. With no sunlight, animals that are active during the day would